All right, we are live. Hey, it's Laurie Forster, the wine coach. If you're seeing this, you're a follower on my Facebook page, and shortly we're going to go live with a great cooking demo. And I want to first introduce Carmen Meyer from the Tennessee Beef, and she's going to kind of frame this whole Facebook Live for y'all.
Well, hi everyone, and thank you, Lori, for hosting this today, having us on, and cooking a really great summer recipe. We're making a Cali avocado steak salad, and this is really just a perfect summer salad recipe. Very easy, maybe six, seven ingredients. So I'm excited to share that with everyone here in just a couple minutes when we get started.
That's right up my alley. Easy and few ingredients. That's what I love.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah, and later when we do get started, we're going to talk about the perfect pairing too. But I know we have people joining, and tell me a little bit about what you guys do at Tennessee Beef. You know, what is your purpose there?
Sure. So I am the dietitian and director of communications on staff with the Beef Council, but we are working to promote and educate about beef with consumers, chefs, dietitians, other health professionals, and just spreading the word about, beef's nutritional benefits, how it's raised, and with the checkoff program, we have a lot of great resources, recipes, and just good information if you're wanting to learn more about beef. So we do cooking demos like this, or go to professional meetings to speak. And it's really just a lot of fun because we work with some of the hardest working people in the country, the cattle farmers and ranchers across the US. Of course, in Tennessee, we work with a lot of our Tennessee local producers, but there are beef councils in most states, and definitely one up there in the Northeast where you are.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're about 2 minutes after, so let's go ahead and get started if you're okay. Are you okay with me diving into my wine pick first, just to give somebody something to sip on? And then we're going to cut back to you to do your cooking demonstration and show us the finished product. I did put a link to the recipe in the comments, so if you're wanting to try this at home, you can link over, get all the ingredients and the steps that Carmen's going to walk you through in a minute. And also, Carmen, if you want to put your website in the comment link, I think people would love to click over because you have some great stuff out there. So first, let's talk about my pairing for this awesome California avocado steak salad, which I've seen before, Carmen, so I know how delicious it is. And everybody thinks with beef, you have to pair with red wine. But with this preparation, because it is so light, I thought a French rosé, and especially this time of year, would be a fabulous pairing. We'll talk a little bit more about why, but let me introduce you to the rosé that we are featuring and one of my favorite gadgets for the summer. So first off, the gadget. This looks kind of crazy, right? This is a tool called the Vin Glacé, and it's basically a Yeti case for your wine bottle, and it fits almost every bottle, although this one is quite tall, so I couldn't screw the cap in all the way, but it has a cap. And then this is an insulated Yeti-like brew mate, if you have one of those for your cans or your other drinks, so that if you have this on the dinner table, outside on the patio, whatever you're doing outside, this is going to keep your rosé nice and chilled, and that's what we want. And the rosé I chose, dun, 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 $18.99 at wine.com. I got this. It's the Saint X. X in Provence is the region it comes from. Provence, France, in the very southern part of France. Under $20, delicious. And I just love the story. Eric Curver, who is the owner of this winery, was for many years an ad agency executive, but always loved wine. And then at one point in his 40s, he retired from advertising, moved from the Netherlands to Provence, France, and really made this winery what it is now, which is state of the art and delicious. And this is a blend, a rosé that's a blend of Grenache, Syrah, and Cinsault. And like most Provence rosés, you can see it has this really delicate salmon color. And I'm going to kind of quickly walk you through the steps to taste any wine like a pro. And the first one is looking at it. I know we don't always give this justice, but glance at the intensity of the color, pale for this one, the shade, salmon, as I mentioned, and then give it a little swirl, which helps amplify the aromas. Step 2, smell your wine. And in this one, you're getting some great, Carmen, red fruits like strawberry and raspberry and melon. It's not, punch you in the face. It just has a really nice nose, but it is a more delicate type of wine for sure. Somewhere in between a white and a red. That's the idea of a rosé, because these are 3 red grapes that we just let sit with the skins for hours rather than days. And that's why it's pink and not red. So I would swirl it up. I'm going to smell it one more time because that's 80% of tasting. And then I'm going to take a sip, switch it around a little bit, get the mouthfeel. If you were to close your eyes and not know what this wine is, you would think it's a white wine because it has that crisp acidity. This is not your grandmother's or mother's white Zinfandel. It is not sweet. It is bone dry. Lots of fruit on the palate though. I absolutely love this with seafood, with salads, like the one that Carmen's going to walk us through. And that acidity is going to help it stand up to anything with acid. And there is a little acid in the fruit and the citrus that you're going to talk about, Carmen. The beef in that salad doesn't make me want to go white, but rosé seems really nice in the middle for the salad and the beef part. You want to match the weight of the wine to the weight of the food. And we'll talk a little bit more after the food demo as to why this pairing is so good and what we think about it together. But at the end of this, you're going to describe the wine, and it's a medium-bodied wine, red fruits like strawberry, raspberry, and some melon with crisp acidity. But the last step, deciding if you like it or not, we're not going to do that till we get a taste of Carmen's salad. So we're going to leave that, and I'm going to teach you how to make a wine sandwich after our cooking demo. And that's how you taste a wine and food together to see how it works. And it should be even better with the food than it is all on its own. So $18.99, 90 plus point rated Provence Rosé. Carmen, that's my pick. Let's see what you have for us food-wise.
Yes, and having taken your advice and purchasing that rosé and having this recipe before and being able to do that pairing, I totally agree with you. Perfect match, of course. And I just love the color of it too. It's so great for like summer. It just makes me think of, summer sipping. So
Exactly.
With our salad, the first step is cooking our steak. And so I have a cast iron grill pan that I'm heating up over here. I've sprayed a little bit of olive oil on there to help it, but you could definitely do this outside on your grill. Take advantage of that while you can. And we are using top sirloin steak today. So I've just cut a kind of smaller steak portion off of a larger piece that we had. And this is a lean cut of beef. So I love top sirloin for many reasons, but one, because it is a lean cut of beef. It's simple to prepare, and it's usually very budget friendly. So you can find it at most grocery stores, and it doesn't need much help. So I'm adding a little bit of olive oil, some black pepper, a little bit of salt.
And if I see you on the big screen, Carmen, and if you can look oh, there, good. We can see the meat now. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, Vintage 901 says hello, Carmen.
Oh, hi to our friends at Vintage 901. Thank you for joining us.
We love our Memphis peeps.
Yes, you do. I don't know if you can hear the sizzle, but that is what you want to hear whenever you are cooking your steak. So make sure your pan is nice and hot before you add your steak or any cut of beef. If you were just trying to sear maybe a roast and then put it in the oven, you still want that sear. So I did season the one side on my plate. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more of that olive oil, some fresh black pepper, and some salt. And we'll let this cook for about 5 to 6 minutes. It kind of depends on how you like your steak to be done. We're going to aim for about a medium doneness, which is around 160. So we're going to, again, let this cook for a few minutes on the first side, and then we'll flip it. So a couple important tips when you're cooking steak, whether it's indoors or outdoors. Number one, we don't want to flip it too much. So really we should flip once and that's it. And make sure you use your tongs instead of a fork when you turn your steak. That'll just help ensure that all those wonderful juices stay inside. So make sure we're using tongs when we turn our steak.
What sort of pan are you using, Carmen?
So this is a cast iron grill pan. This one is from Lodge, and I do love it because we still get those wonderful grill marks on the steak. And really, cast iron is pretty easy to use and clean. Once you're done cooking, you just run it under hot water. And one of the great things about the seasoned cast iron is that you can actually use a little bit of soap and hot water on, a bristle brush, a gentle bristle brush, not like a wire brush, but easy to clean in that sense. And then when you dry it off, spray it with a little bit of olive oil, and it's ready to use the next time.
Great.
And definitely recommend that, again, when you're cooking a steak.
Absolutely.
Not sure why, but it just makes it so much better. So the next step for our recipe is to prepare an orange. And I'm going to turn my camera down a little bit here so you can see my cutting board. And so we're going to have some orange segments on our salad. So we just cut off the top and the bottom here, stand it upright, and then we're just going to remove that peel. Trying to cut pretty close to the fruit itself. And we're going to just segment this orange. We're actually using a little bit of the remaining orange juice to help flavor and preserve an avocado. So if you're trying to keep an avocado from going brown, you can always add a little bit of citrus. That citric acid inside just helps to keep the avocado from going brown. And so when we're segmenting fruit, might be a little hard to see, but you can see kind of the little divisions here in each segment. And I'm just running my knife right alongside that to help remove those.
Awesome.
And this applies with, grapefruit, oranges, whatever citrus fruit.
So I guess you could mix it up and do grapefruit instead, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Grapefruit and avocado is a wonderful pairing.
Love it. That's my favorite. If I get a mimosa, I get it with grapefruit juice.
Oh yeah, that sounds delicious.
It is.
So we're getting a little bit of vitamin C here with our fresh citrus. And as you kind of get down to just a small bit remaining here, it's easier to just lay it flat and kind of sever those pieces. So we'll take those off to the side. And next we just have to prep our avocado. I did want to make sure we highlight the avocado today because sometimes it's a mystery of how to get into one of these and prepare it. And we're actually going to grill our avocado. So for that reason, we're just going to cut it in half. So I like to run that lengthwise just around the pit. Small knife, go lengthwise around that pit. And then you should be able to twist and it comes open very easily. Now we just have to get this pit out. I tend to use a larger knife when I'm doing this little job here, but keep your avocado flat on your cutting board and then just give it a small tap. Sometimes you have to do it twice. or 3 times. You have to get into the pit
You
well
got
enough.
it.
And then over on my trash can, I'm going to hit my handle of the knife on the edge of that trash can, and that will allow the pit to just pop right off. We don't want to grab this pit with our hand. So on the edge of your trash can, just hit that, and it comes right off.
Just real quick, Carmen, I don't know if you want to answer now or after you flip, but Kristen is asking if you can use most cuts of beef for this recipe, or is it that this one's best for indoor grilling?
That's a great question. Really, any steak that you love, like a sirloin steak would be great with this salad. The top sirloin, that is a lean cut, so is your sirloin steak. So I love both of those, but really whatever cut of steak you really love, you can use that. And they'll work indoors, outdoors. So make it yours. So with our avocado, I've got some of that orange juice on my cutting board. So I'm just going to rub the cut side into that orange juice. Again, it helps preserve your avocado, keeps it from browning. And then to get a little extra juice inside our little well here, we're going to just squeeze that juice inside. And it smells so good with the fresh orange juice. And then we just add a little bit of salt and some olive oil to that avocado, and it will be ready for the grill. And we can actually put the avocado on the grill with a couple minutes remaining when our steak is cooking. So just keep that in mind, that you can have your avocado ready to put on the grill just before your steak is done cooking. I went ahead and flipped this already, and again, we'll just let it cook a few more minutes. The one thing I haven't shared about this salad yet is that we use naan bread on the side. So I have a piece of naan bread here that I also went ahead and grilled. You can find this just in the bread section at your grocery store. This is a garlic naan. You toss it on the grill after everything is done, and then cut it into wedges to serve with your salad.
Lovely.
So pretty easy. We're just going to wait for that steak to finish cooking, and then we'll assemble everything. But any other questions?
Well, tell me a little bit about grilling the avocado, because I love avocado, but I've never grilled it. What's the secret to it? Just short and sweet, or?
Yes. So we do want a little bit of oil, of course, to prevent any sticking. But it only takes a few minutes. We're just waiting to see some grill marks, essentially. But I am going to go ahead and stick those on.
Okay.
Hopefully so you can get a feel for that. We'll move the steak over a little bit, hopefully. That's another good sign when you're cooking steak. If you are struggling to get it to turn over, if you really having to scrape underneath it, it's probably not ready yet. It will let you know when it's ready. So just be patient, let it do its thing, and it will release pretty easily when it's ready.
Great. So you're going to leave those avocados on there a couple minutes, and then tell me about the rest of what's in the salad. I mean, we have the avocado, we have the beef, and our citrus, and then what else are we putting in there?
So it is on a bed of just spring mixed greens. Again, you can really use whatever greens that you prefer. If it's romaine or just a spinach salad would work great with this salad. And then the naan bread, and that is it. So there actually is not a dressing, but the juices from the oranges and the fattiness of the avocado work well together. So if you want to just kind of mash up that avocado a little bit, and then add some salt, maybe a drizzle of olive oil before you go to eat it. That's really all you need. And if you have any remaining juice in the ends that you cut, you can add a little extra orange juice there. It's super easy. I've added some cheese to the salad before, and that's a good thing to do too if you love cheese. Maybe some feta cheese, but that's optional.
And so I know we have a finished version we're going to see at some point. Are we going to talk about when you take the beef off, actually the cutting piece, and any tips around slicing up that steak?
Yes. So I think our steak still needs another minute or two. We're going to reach that medium doneness for us here. We're aiming for that 160 degrees Fahrenheit. If you'd like to use a meat thermometer, that will be equivalent to the medium doneness. If you like more of a medium rare, then 145 is the number you're shooting for.
Okay.
But important thing to keep in mind is when you take your steak off of the grill pan, wherever, pull it out of the oven. If you have a roast, we want to always let it rest before we cut into it. So you'll have to wait just a few minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is what we recommend.
Okay.
So just let that rest. That allows the juices to redistribute throughout the steak or your roast, and making sure that when you do slice into it, every piece, every bite will be juicy and just how you want it.
Great. Well, maybe this is a good time to talk a little bit more about the wine and glassware, and then when your beef has rested long enough, you can let me know and we can go back to your cutting board and see some of your techniques. I know I could use lots of help with my knife skills for sure. But as you know, the Aix-en-Provence I mentioned is from this special region called Côte d'Aix-en-Provence, and it is a sub-region of Provence. And this specific winery is has some nice elevated vineyards that give it cooler temperatures at night that allows the grapes to rest and revitalize before the next morning. But there's also these special Mistral winds that run through this region, Carmen, that in the mornings, they'll kind of get rid of that wind, will get rid of the dew on the grapes and make sure that we don't grow any kind of mold or funk or anything in our grapevines, because that's never going to be a positive thing. But it's just a natural sort of air conditioner that makes sure the grapes stay healthy and wonderful. In Provence, you're going to want to move, Carmen. They have 300 days of sun every year. So I was reading that and I thought, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty darn good. And so it has the magic of keeping the grapes with the sun getting ripe, but then those cool night temperatures along with the winds, just keeping the grapes really fresh too, with this fresh acidity, that when you take a sip of this Rosé, you're going to get that mouth-watering acidity that we love for food pairing in the wine world, because it's going to stand up to anything with salt and anything with acids. So we already know that you did salt on the beef, you did salt on the avocado, so we have that going on. And then for acidity, you have the citrus, which is kind of your dressing as well. And so if you had a wine with very little acidity and it tried to match up to that orange, it's going to fall really flat and almost taste like water at that point. So you've got to have that acidity for this pairing. And I love how that all comes together for this rosé. This is a very classic style Provence rosé. So if you go to your local wine store or whatever retailer you use and ask for a rosé from Provence, it's going to be similar in style. It's not going to be way off in left field. But rosés come in many different styles. This is very classic for Provence, and I think going to be, as we've done this before, this is our second rodeo with this pairing, so we know this is excellent. But you could use other dry rosés from the New World or other places. Just make sure it's not too big, too over the top, and it does have that crisp acidity. Let me see. I think I might see a question here, Carmen. Do you need to tent the meat or just leave it out when it's resting?
So I usually just leave it out on a clean plate. So
Great.
Remember to always get a clean plate for your cooked steaks.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not going to tent this. That's up to you though. If you feel better to put a piece of foil over that, it might continue to cook a little bit longer, because that's one of the important things, is that once we take it off that grill, it is going to cook a little bit more, increasing that final doneness. So again, that aluminum foil will keep the heat in longer. So important to keep that in mind. Now, if I was doing a roast, which we do want to let rest a little bit longer because it's a larger cut of meat, might take a little bit longer for those juices to redistribute. And depending on when you're serving it, then I sometimes will add some aluminum foil and create that tint.
Great. All right. And so have we, I don't know how long it's been resting.
So we had this off about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So again, for a smaller cut steak, you can do 5 minutes. I know it's hard to wait because it looks delicious, but we do want to just wait a little bit. And our avocados are looking pretty good here. Grab a plate and sure, they can be a little slippery.
Perfect.
So we'll just grab those. You can see
they look
our
beautiful.
grill marks here.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you wanted to go a little bit longer, that won't hurt anything at all. So pretty easy to grill our avocado for the salad. And I am going to cut that steak once it rests a little bit, but I did just want to show the
nice
assembled salad.
Beauteous. I'm glad I have that on the big screen.
So I left the avocado in the skin here as I plated it, but really you can slice it while it's still in the skin and then just scoop out the avocado for each salad as you go to serve it. Presentation wise, I just thought it looked really nice to have that still as a whole piece there. We've got our grilled naan bread that just cut into wedges, our oranges, and our delicious medium done steak.
Cheers to that. And when you guys make this, if you're not making it right now, maybe not because it's early afternoon, but if you're making it tonight or whenever you're going to make this recipe, when you have your rosé and your finished recipe together, I want you guys to make a wine sandwich. I've been telling you about why this rosé is so great with this salad, but the wine sandwich is going to teach you why and really get you to focus on the two together. And as Carmen knows, you always start with sipping the wine first. Then you'll go and take a bite of your salad. And this salad is fun because you can try wine sandwiches with just the orange, with the meat and the avocado, or just the meat, and you can kind of play around with that. But you always taste the wine first, then you take a bite of your salad, whatever components or combinations, savor that, and then take a second sip of the wine. So wine, food, wine, that's the wine sandwich. And on the second sip of the wine, think about how it changes. And I don't know do you remember doing this last time, Carmen? But lots of people were really sharing with us. We had a great crew, and that crisp acidity is there to really counteract that salt and acidity. And so that will smooth right out. And then all that fruit we got on the nose will come forward. And the two will just kind of work together as a team. So don't forget your wine sandwich when you do finally make this, or whatever you make and whatever wine you have. Great pairings. You like the wine more in the second sip. Sometimes we don't, put the right things together, and then maybe you go, what's just happened to the wine? Well, it's the combination. So that's what I want people to do when they actually make this recipe. And Jeannie is saying that she's going to make this for sure, as is Kristen. So we got some fans already.
So happy to hear that. And I did get more of the rosé just to make sure I have that. I wanted to pour that in my glass, but we're looking forward to having that later on today. It's perfect temperature outside. It's a little muggy here.
So what do you think? Should we show them your knife skills?
Yes. So let me just
put you back on solo just while you get to that.
Want to clean up a little bit of the juices from the orange that we cut earlier. We don't want a whole lot of that flavor on our steak. It's nice on the salad, but we don't want to do that after our cooked steak.
And what sort of a knife are you going to use?
So you can, of course, use a steak knife if you've got a nice set of steak knives. I'm just actually going to use the knife that I prepped my orange and avocado with. And so you don't have to have fancy steak knife at all. Just a good.
Ooh, there we go.
Knife. And we will cut this into nice, thin, just manageable slices for eating. So keep that in mind that, you'll be taking a bite of your leafy greens, maybe an orange, and a piece of steak. And we don't want a really just big, long piece of steak as we go to take a bite. So I do like to tell people to cut against the grain, and not sure how well you can really see that from where you are, but it means the lines that are running kind of through their steak. So we want to cut against that, or opposite of that.
Great.
That just makes it a little bit easier to cut. And with our leaner cuts, that can actually help make it a little bit more tender when you're cutting against the grain. So for this steak
recipe, how many ounces are you putting for each person?
So this recipe is actually, it says it serves 2 people, but I think you can probably stretch that a little bit further because it calls for 1 pound of top sirloin. And generally your serving is, maybe 4 to 5 ounces of cooked steak. So yeah, you could really get about 4 servings from this.
Looks delicious.
So we got closer to a medium well on this one.
Yep. No shame in that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Great. Well,
and so yeah,
looks great. And then of course, the finished product. Let's see that again on the big screen because
sure thing.
It's the magic of television, people. Awesome. And I put in the comments thread, everyone, I put the link to the recipe. So if you are watching this after the live on the replay, you can click over, you can get Carmen's recipe, you can come back and watch this while you're preparing, or just take all the tips that she gave you. And I know she put her website in there as well. If you want to connect with me, just go to thewinecoach.com or download my free app, which I just revamped, called The Wine Coach. It's free out there for iPhone and Android. Carmen, what do you have to tell them? Wait, you have to have you raise a glass too with recipe, and I love it. I love it. This has been great. Carmen, let them know how they can connect with you.
Yes, so our website is tnbeef.org. So if you're looking for recipes, just cooking information, or you want to reach out to us, tnbeef.org. Email me directly there or visit us on Instagram at tnbeef. So Laurie, thank you again for—
Thank you. It's always great cooking and sipping with you. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. And we are going to be here next week, same time, 2 p.m. on June 10th. And we're going to be doing a red wine with a great beef stir fry that Carmen made previously that I'm obsessed with. So join us next week, 2 p.m., June 10th. I'll see you guys soon. Cheers to you, Carmen. Thank you.
Cheers, Laurie, and cheers, everyone.
Cheers.